What's up, y'all? Malcolm Breed here from How to Barbecue Right. When you're in the Chattanooga area and you're looking for barbecue supplies, you got to check out my buddy Steve's Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply. And Steve and his staff have all your outdoor grilling, smoking, live fire cooking supplies. You can find my Killer Hog stuff there, plus a ton of other cool stuff. So y'all stop in and see Steve. Tell him Malcolm sent you.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome Tuesday night to the Owl's Nest Barbecue Catch-Up Show. I'm Steve. That guy right next to me over there is Pete. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Steve?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
How'd those new sticks work today? Pete
They-
got new golf clubs.
Oh, man. I was tickled to death with them. Most definitely.
Played good and played in the rain. You know, I kind of thought when you said you're going to play golf, I said, that's just like a kid who got a new bike on Christmas. It doesn't matter what the weather was outside. He was going to be out there playing with them.
That's me, though, all the time. I don't care how cold, whatever it is. I love to play golf,
Did you take them home and clean them up after you played?
of course.
Of course. Hey, we're brought to you by, of course, the Pit Barrel Cooker. The best thing to cook on in any arsenal is the Pit Barrel Cooker available at Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply, where you can follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Instagram too. And if you missed the live show, go to Spotify. All of the broadcasts are in podcast form on Spotify now, so you can catch us while you're driving if you want to listen along, and we'd appreciate it if you did that. We're brought to you, like I said, by Pit Barrel Cookers. We're also brought to you by the entire lineup of Green Mountain Grills, and we're brought to you by Blackstone Griddle and by the best kettle grill on the market, the Napoleon Kettle Grill. More features and better quality than any kettle grill that money can buy. Pete, we've got a fantastic guest.
Look, definitely looking forward to the conversation. I was reading about some things that you'd put out this week, so I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Dr. Robert F. Moss will be joining us in just a second. Robert is a prolific author, and more importantly, he is a author of 5 books, one being my all-time favorite, The History of the American Institution, The Barbecue. That is, I believe that's number 1. Robert will correct me if I'm wrong. And here is, I believe, number 2 right there. I've got it. And I keep it right here by my side all the time. Because you never know when somebody's going to ask you, say, Steve, how did this come about? And I just grabbed the History of Barbecue book by Dr. Robert F. Moss. And I said, here, let me explain to you how this came about. Before we get to Robert, we're going to go to our kind of our fun segment.
What Steve learned this weekend.
Let me tell you what Steve learned in the football world this weekend. Chapter 4. Let me tell you. Number 1, Marcel Reed, the quarterback for Texas A&M, is the real deal, folks. And if he's not being considered for a Heisman Trophy, that sophomore should be in the mix now after his performance this past Saturday against LSU. Number 2, what I learned this weekend, Tennessee gets absolutely no respect from the national media. And you know what, Pete? That's okay. That's okay. We are under the radar. Number 3, Brian Kelly is the winner of the month. He's a lot richer, and he doesn't have to put up with those obnoxious LSU fans that are only second to those obnoxious Georgia fans. And with the NFL trade deadline looming, here's my thoughts. The Titans should offer their entire roster and their new stadium to Kansas City for an even swap. And can you imagine Patrick Mahomes in a Titans uniform? And Travis Kelce would love it in Nashville. And let's face it, he'll be living there shortly anyway when he gets married. So I think that'd be a good swap, don't you? Give them the stadium too. Because if they keep playing the way they're playing, nobody's going to be in that new stadium either.
They are horrible.
They can't give away a PSL, was it preferred PSL or something like that? They can't give one away, they said. And finally, we learned this weekend that there will be more college football head coaching jobs available than there will be to qualified candidates to fill them because everybody's getting fired.
Everybody
is getting fired. You know, it's like I say at the gas station to my employees, the beatings will continue until morale improves.
you know, the thing about the firings, it seems like more than I can ever remember. But to be honest, Steve, it feels like these firings are not coming from the school. They're coming from the media. They're coming from boosters. I mean, just it's like somebody says, I want them gone. There was the governor, right? Wasn't it the governor?
I was watching a Paul Feinbaum show, and there was some guy on there yesterday who covers LSU said the governors who fired Brian Kelly. He was the final word. He arranged all the financing to get him out of there. The governor of the state of Louisiana fired a football coach. That's pretty good. If you're going to get fired, by golly, you might as well be by the governor. Well, good for Brian Kelly. I like Brian Kelly. I know I'm in the minority, but I like him. I like him. And real quick, congratulations. Before we go to Robert, here he is. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, Pete, my thing's froze up here. I was going to congratulate Sean.
Yeah.
Sean Cosby. I don't know what's going on with my deal here. Got Sean's picture here somewhere. Anyway, I was going to congratulate our buddy Sean Cosby over there at Choo Choo Barbecue. He won the Burning Bush Barbecue Bash this past weekend down in Ringgold. They said Jason put on a fantastic, just a fantastic contest. So good for those guys. They had a good time, and we appreciate them too. All right. Let's get to the meat of the program. You ready, Pete?
Ready, man.
Let's introduce this guy, Dr. Robert F. Moss, from the great state of South Carolina. Robert, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Steve. How you doing?
We're doing super duper. Is your football coach in any trouble, you think, at the University of?
I don't think so, since it depends on which one you're talking about. But I'm sort of fallen out of following college football too much. But no, I used to be a Florida State fan up until recently. It's been sort of rough lately, but I think he'll hang in there for a little while longer at least.
Florida State, wow.
Yeah, they're not doing too hot. Yeah,
started the season good.
Yeah, they started off well, and that sort of sagged a little bit, but we'll see.
Clemson's struggling a lot.
Yeah. I guess Dabo's hanging in there for now. He's got a lot of past that he's living on, but we'll see. It's not a great.
He was the one individual that didn't believe in NIL, that said, I'm not going to do it, and now it's put him a couple of years behind everybody else.
Yep.
And I think he's seeing it right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I think his boosters are seeing it right now.
Yeah.
But we didn't come here to talk football, Robert. We came here to talk barbecue history. We came here to talk Michelin star restaurant. But first, like I said, Robert, 5 books, one being The History of Barbecue, which is one of my all-time favorite barbecue books. What interesting, I want to tell you something else I learned this weekend. You being a Furman graduate. Do you know who Alexander Stubb is?
Alexander Stubb. No, I don't. You stumped me last time I think I was on with Furman alum. I don't know if I know Alexander Stubb.
Well, let's see. You would be, how old did you say you were? 55?
55.
You were you could have gone to school with him, depending on when you went to Furman. If you were on life schedule, you would have passed each other in the hallways. He is the president
Oh, yeah, he's a
of Finland.
Oh, Finland. Yeah, okay. I didn't know his
Yeah.
name, but I knew the president of Finland is a Furman alum. So that's definitely
Did
good.
you ever
No,
have study hall with him, or
I
you with him in
didn't.
the cafeteria?
No, I really at Furman. I was in the English department there, and so I knew a lot of folks in the English department. But I don't know. I didn't know him at the time, which is sort of amazing because it's a small campus. But
what a bizarre. I mean, I'm sure he went in. He went to his advisor, and they go, Stubbs, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Finland seems like a nice country. I think I'll be president of it. They don't go to war very often. Robert, we're going to talk about NP. We're going to talk about this Michelin star thing that's going on now. Next Monday at 7:15. The people in Greenville, South Carolina, which I believe you will be in the audience of,
yeah,
right?
I will be. I got a invite to the ceremony up in Greenville, so I get to head back up
big.
there, and which is my hometown, and go to the ceremony. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
And they're going to announce the first winners ever of the southern region of the Michelin Star Series.
Yep.
And if you would, Robert, can you explain a little bit how that works? We had the Chattanooga tourism guy on last spring, and he kind of announced it on the show that Chattanooga is going to be part of that. But can you kind of go over what happens, how the South came to be in this Michelin star?
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. I think they're called the Michelin Guide to the American South. And it's the latest of the Michelin guides to come out in the United States. Michelin, of course, the French tire company, started off doing guides in France and Europe. It wasn't until the 21st century that they came to the U.S. and started doing guides here. Originally, they did. I think New York City was the original one. Did one for Chicago and California. But for a long time, that was about it. Just those major metropolitan areas. And then around 2018, I think it was 2019, suddenly they started announcing more guides. They added Florida, they added a Michelin guide to Atlanta, they added a Michelin guide to Texas most recently. And then it sort of started leaking out. Not everyone realizes it, but it's not like they picked those places at random. There actually are, those are what are known as like the New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and California, I think. Michelin foots the bill for those. Those are ones that they decided to do as part of extending their brand. Starting with Florida, though, those are actually sponsored guides, meaning that the tourist boards in the states or regions will actually put money together and pay Michelin for the privilege of having them come and send their inspectors and compile a guide. So Florida sort of started that out. Texas, I think Atlanta was after that, and then Texas. Actually, Colorado is in there as well. So those are all paid guides that were paid for. It's interesting that all of a sudden now you've got the American South, which is the first time they've done a guide that's that big. I think it's covering 7 states. I had to count them all. It's Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and both Carolinas. And then part of Georgia, namely metropolitan Atlanta. So that's a pretty
Atlanta.
Just Atlanta.
The state's not included.
No, the rest of the state, Savannah will not be in it. Macon will not be in it. And there's some good restaurants down in Savannah, but it has to do with who sponsored the guide. So basically, there's a organization called Travel South, which is sort of this umbrella tourism board that all the southeastern states belong to, and they sort of brokered the deal. But then each of the individual states, like Tennessee, South Carolina, Louisiana, ponied up some money to contribute and sponsor it. And then, like with it's each state is different, but like in South Carolina, there's the sort of state tourist board. Somehow it's all rolls up under the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department. But they sort of organize it there, but then farm it out to the individual convention and visitor boards in each city. So I know in South Carolina, Greenville, Columbia, Charleston, where I am, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, all contributed and paid into the pot. All told, South Carolina contributed $350,000 per year to sponsor that. And I think for a total Yeah, I think most of the other states paid the same amount. So it's actually sort of all the tourist boards putting their money together and saying, "Hey, let's fund this guide for 3 years," and then Michelin will send the inspectors and publish the guide, and then do the big ceremony, of course, which they're going to do up in Greenville for the
Yeah,
launch of the book.
I didn't realize that the Southern United States had a organization that these 7 states are members of.
Well, it's actually a lot more than 7 states, which is interesting. I think it's something like 12 states that are part of Travel South.
Okay.
Not all of them were were participating in the guide. Axios, the publication called Axios, has done some really good reporting on this, as has Parker Milner, who's the food editor here in Charleston at the Post and Courier. Virginia was invited to participate. They were pitched by Travel South and Michelin, and they said, "No, thank you. It's not worth we don't think it's worth the investment." And so Virginia will not be in the American South. For whatever reason, Kentucky, West Virginia, Arkansas were not. I don't know if they were invited, didn't participate, or they weren't invited, but they're not in the guide either, even though they're part of that Travel South umbrella organization. So it's sort of like Travel South put it all together, but each state had to sort of opt in if they wanted to pay in or not to be in it. Travel South's interesting as well because, yeah, it's this umbrella organization. It's to promote tourism to all these Southern American cities, but their real market is not American tourists. It's really international tourists. So they're really marketing all of these American cities in Canada, in Europe, in Asia, all over the world, really trying to promote international tourism. And certainly here in Charleston, we have a very big, booming tourist economy, and a lot of the tourists are flying in from overseas. So that has been a big push in the South. And Travel South does these big expos and everything where they'll actually bring some of the tour guide operators over from Europe for these big conventions, and all the cities can pitch them and tout how great the restaurants in Charleston is and how great the hotels and the sites are. So it's all sort of tied into this big tourism economy in the South, and a lot of interesting ways that have long been pretty much under the scene, but the Michelin Guide is sort of starting to bring that out more and more.
I'm surprised Chattanooga has not made a bigger deal. I mean, we were talking earlier. Steve said, you didn't hear anything about it. I mean, Steve's about what he's put out on it is more than I've heard from anybody. Surprisingly.
Yeah, I think it's been hit or miss. Some cities or the people in these cities, the media and folks like that, are really excited about it. I know Charlotte in particular, the newspapers up there, the food writers up there are writing these articles, and Raleigh as well. Does this mean Charlotte, it's finally time for Charlotte's to step up on the stage and earn respect? But then other cities I haven't heard peep out of. So I think it's interesting.
You bring up a good point, Pete, because Chattanooga is always, and Robert, I know you've spent a lot of time in Chattanooga, and it's always bragging about its food scene. Everybody, that's the first thing that they always talk about, the Chattanooga food scene. They compare it to Boulder, Colorado, wherever, and when we haven't heard a peep, which begs the question: how important do you think this Michelin star program is to the South?
Yeah, I think that's an unanswered question so far, because it's not like the South, or at least a lot of the cities that are sort of rolled up into this guide, haven't been hadn't had a lot of attention. Especially, I mean, talking to Charleston, I mean, we're in all these travel and leisure best city, best tourism cities roundups all the time. We have a very high profile, and the tourist trade is booming. I don't know how much getting in the guide will make a difference. We will see. I think that still remains to be played out. It's only been, I mean, Florida's been in there for a while. Has Florida taken off as a culinary destination? Maybe it has. I don't know, but it's certainly, I don't think of it having or Texas having a bigger culinary reputation now than it used to. I mean, I have to imagine it does drive some traffic. It does you get a lot of press. And one of the things about the guide is you get what in the business is known as earned media, which means if your town, your city, your restaurants get in the guide, then all sorts of newspapers and magazines will write about that. And it doesn't cost you anything. So you get all these sort of stories written all over the place. And so maybe people will see that and they'll see, oh, Charleston has these great restaurants. Or let's say, I don't know if Charleston is going to benefit as much as, let's say, somewhere like a Charlotte or a Chattanooga gets a couple of restaurants that get a star or get highlighted a lot. Maybe they'll get some buzz and it'll generate some traffic. I think it still remains to be seen. And I'm going to be really curious to see when the guy comes out, is it really going to move the needle for the restaurants that sort of bubble to the top and get recognized, or is it going to be just one more set of news articles they get when there's already 1,000 top 10 places to eat?
I don't know how much time you spent in Atlanta. They're the closest Michelin starred restaurants to Chattanooga, obviously. Atlas, you ever heard of that down in Buckhead?
Well, I've heard of them, but only because researching the Michelin Guide. It's not like the I think it's 9 restaurants in Atlanta have a star.
I see 5. I see 5 here. But that's just a Google search. I don't know.
Yeah, I was looking it up on their site because I was actually writing articles and getting ready for it. Lazy Betty, I've heard of Atlanta. That's one of them. Yeah, what I was sort of looking at and trying to sort of predict what
Bacchanalia.
Bacchanalia, most of these I have not heard of. One of the things you're going to see is the Michelin stars, at least the restaurants that get stars, tend to be in a certain category, not exclusively, but they tend to be either what you might call a contemporary restaurant, which is going to be fine dining, sort of highly cultivated plates and very sort of global, European type influence. Or Japanese. You'll see a lot of Japanese restaurants. I think there's 3 of the 9.
Yeah, Hayakawa. Yep. And Mujo are the 2 that are listed here.
And there's a Omakase Table, which I believe is a sushi restaurant in Atlanta. And that's the same case in Texas, the same case in Florida. The Japanese restaurants tend to, the high-end Japanese restaurants tend to really check the boxes that Michelin is looking for when it comes to food. But when I think of it dining in Atlanta, I don't think, they have great high-end Japanese restaurants in Atlanta. That's not what I think of when I go to Atlanta. And I'm going to be really curious. Actually, I have my newsletter, which is, we can talk about a little bit. I'm going to have a piece, I think, come out this weekend, trying to preview the Michelin, because I'm going to write some kind of response or reflection after it comes out. But as a preview, I sort of have like 7 or 8 questions I want to ask. And one of them is, how many of these restaurants that make the cut, and especially the ones that earn a star, right? We can talk about the levels, but earn a star or even get the Bib Gourmand. How many are going to be really Southern restaurants? How many would have Southern style dishes on them? Are they going to be more in that vein of contemporary tasting menu, very chefy tweezer food, or Japanese, high end Japanese or things like that? That'll be something I'm curious to see.
I'm glad I forgot to mention that newsletter. Tell everybody how you can get the Robert F. Moss, the resurrection of the Robert F. Moss.
So I did a while back. I did a newsletter called the Q Sheet, and let it lapse for a couple of years. And I'm bringing it back. I've brought it back as I'm just calling it now the Robert F. Moss newsletter, because I write about barbecue, which is one of my big things, but I write about a lot of other things as well, like dining here in Charleston and just general things in the food scene. Easiest way, you can just Google Robert F. Moss. Go to robertfmoss.com. I have a big link at the top that you can sign up for the newsletter. It's on Substack. So if you're on Substack, it's the Robert F. Moss newsletter on Substack. And coming out, we'll see. I've been doing it for a couple weeks now. The rebooted version, I'm still getting into my sort of rhythm. But right now, I've got one coming out about every twice a week. One's always on barbecue topics. The other is usually more on other types of dining topics.
Well, your website is super. Especially if you're a barbecue person and you enjoy history like I do. It's fantastic website, and that's where I pulled up we're going to talk about in just a little bit the history of the Hush Puppy.
Yep. And I've got a lot of that material that's going to come out in the newsletter. So what I'll do is I'll send it out in the newsletter. If you sign up for it, it'll show up in your email inbox and you're ready to go. And then I'll also post on my website for posterity, so people can find it later. But I've got a lot more barbecue history things queued up to come out in that newsletter.
Also on his website, you can buy his books, and just a plethora of information on the robertfmoss.com, and maybe and subscribe and get that news. I've got it, and I got the Q. I was one of the original Q sheet fans.
Yeah.
I love the Q sheet.
Back in the day, I will mention it's right now 100% free, so it doesn't cost anything to sign up, and there'll always be a free version, so you can just have it for free. And
Real
show
quick,
people.
Jeff Maxwell checking in, Steve Davidson checking in, Kenny Smith from Middle Tennessee checking in, and George Gibson from up in Decatur checking in. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it. In Chattanooga, we did sort of a little poll, and all of the upscale restaurants here in Chattanooga got a vote from the people on Facebook, on a Facebook poll. In Nashville, I thought maybe Nashville would probably be more. I've never had fine dining in Nashville. Did you spend much time in Nashville?
I don't spend enough time up as much as I'd like to, because when I do travel these days, I tend to be eating at all the barbecue places, which tends to fill me up. But I have eaten a few of the spots up in Nashville. Nashville has very much a contemporary fine dining scene, some really good stuff up there. I can't remember there right now. There's a couple very high end Japanese restaurants there, including this, I think, 14-seat omakase sushi bar that is, you can't get into, has the reservations out the window. That seems like it's custom or ideally made for a Michelin guide. It's long been very similar to Charleston in terms of the fine dining scene. In fact, there's a lot of back and forth between them. In fact, there's a Husk, which is big, was the big, sort of still is in Charleston, but it's one of the big restaurants that helped put Charleston on the international map. It has a Husk Nashville outpost, and there is a good bit of communication back and forth between the chefs in those cities, especially there was about 10 years ago when the sort of the new Southern movement was cranking. So I would not be surprised to see a lot of Nashville places make the cut. I'm curious to see which kind make the cut.
Bourbon. Have you ever heard of Bourbon Steak?
I have heard of Bourbon Steak. Yep.
Michael Mina.
Michael Mina. Yeah, that one is not Michael Mina is a restaurant group. He's actually based out of the West Coast. But in Bourbon Steak, he has a couple different ones across the country. In fact, Michael Mina recently opened a Italian restaurant here in Charleston called Sorelli. Okay. I'll be curious if that one makes it on to the
that was just one that they thought.
Yeah, well, Bourbon Steak is. Yeah, I don't know if it will or not, just because there's a bunch of them, but it may, because actually, I think Joel Rubichon's restaurant down in Miami is one of the only 2-star restaurants in the South, or in the Florida or any of the sponsored guides, and it's an outpost of a international restaurant empire. So it may well make it. I think that is definitely the kind of high end spot that the Michelin guide tends to go for.
Well, the proliferation of barbecue restaurants has I'm not going to say taken over, but has earned a pretty good segment in the Michelin star business. Not just only in explain the difference between the Michelin star and the Bib
Gourmand. Yeah,
yes,
so
explain the difference there.
Yeah, so the star system, that's Michelin's known for it. You'll hear people say he's a Michelin-starred chef, or he's a Michelin-starred restaurant. There's actually 3 categories: 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star, and each one is better. And earning a star is a big trophy, big prize everybody's shooting for. And then 2 stars is puts you on this higher plane, and then 3 stars is the kind of thing that people will get on the plane and fly around the world to eat at the 3-star restaurants. So the stars are very rarefied and very, very hard to get to. Michelin has a whole rubric, a whole criteria. They say, what is a 1-star versus a 2-star versus a 3-star? I might disagree with that they always follow those guidelines, but that is sort of the top echelon, and getting the Michelin star is the big prize. Bib Gourmand is a category they introduced a long while back. It's a rung down. According to their official categorization for it, a Bib Gourmand is supposed to be a more affordable more economical but still good restaurant. Like you can go get a good 3-course meal for a reasonable price. And so it's sort of like the budget pick. At least that's how it originally was. Increasingly these days, the Bib Gourmand seems to me like it's more just an honorable mention, that you didn't get a star, but these are the really good restaurants that we considered. Especially if you look at the Texas guide and the barbecue joints, Texas was the first place where there was any real presence of barbecue restaurants in the Michelin guide. Only places that the barbecue restaurants that have earned a star are in Texas, and there are actually 4 of them that earned a 1-star rating in the last guide. I think there's 17 Bib Gourmand barbecue restaurants in Texas. And if you look at the price, they're all very much the same. And if you look at like my top 50 list for Southern Living or Daniel Vaughn's top 50 list for Texas Monthly, those Bib Gourmand and those starred restaurants are all intermixed in our rating. So it's not like one clearly stands out among the others. So it's sort of become an honorable mention. But it is that category down below. So everybody would love to get that. And you still get a little red sign. I mean, I was out in Texas this summer doing trips. I went to Burt Bean Company. They had their red sign on the wall outside. Interstellar Barbecue in Austin is one of the 4 that got a star. They had their little red plaque on the wall with their star on it. So it's a big honor for the restaurants, and it does drive traffic. I've seen some estimates in places that it can increase your business by 20% or more the year.
How big a sign, Pete, do you think I'd have if the knothole showed up?
A big billboard out there on the outside.
Robert, your next swing through the South on your way to Raid Couches. It's always a winner in Ooltewah. You need to stop by the gas station in the summer. I do a lunch now, 11 to 2.
Oh, okay.
So you'll have to stop by and get some of my.
I have to get up that way now. My wife's from Cleveland, so I used to go up there all the time. But her mother recently, actually several years ago now, moved down to St. Augustine, Florida, and so we just don't get up to Cleveland anymore because we don't have anybody to go visit. So I am overdue.
Make sure you call me, and I'll have a brisket ready for you.
All right. Well, definitely. I gotta get about the couches too. Hopefully they're still hanging in there. It's been a couple of years since I've been to Couches as well.
Oh, the Couches is doing great, and Robert Ross can tell you he's certified at best hot slaw in the country, and then Robert.
Yeah, it is at least best I've ever had.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Jeff Maxwell said Elsie's daughter in Chattanooga made the cut. I don't know if they've been if he's got some inside information.
He may have known because the people who the ceremony's on Monday, so they've invited lots of people to come to the ceremony who will get some kind of recognition. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to get a star or the Bib Gourmand. There are other honors they include in the guides and things. But apparently, I would guess if he says they made the cut, they probably found out that the owners there got an invite to come to Greenville on Monday.
That'd be fantastic. But it just hasn't. They had an article in the paper back in the spring that, hey, this was going to happen. I did a couple shows on it. It didn't pick up any legs then, and certainly he's not picking up legs yet. Of course, the way people are now and the way the media is, they'll wait till probably have a story in the Sunday paper about it, maybe.
Yeah, well, and if they do, they don't. And the preview ones, I don't know that those drive the traffic. What drives the traffic will be when all the stars go out, and you're going to see whichever city's got them is going to be running big features in the paper. I mean, I see that on the barbecue front. My Southern Living top 50 list just came out in September, and boy, it got picked up by all sorts of local papers all over the place. And so if anybody, in Raleigh or the Raleigh paper would run something of it, someone in Birmingham would run about all the Alabama ones. So I bet you'll see a lot of attention after the guide is announced, but maybe not so much.
I forgot to mention to everyone that Robert is the contributing editor of barbecue to Southern Living, and he's the one that comes up with all the top 50 lists of all the different areas in the country, and he's the guy you scream at, call an idiot, call.
I actually have to make a distinction though, because Southern Living does 2 lists, and I'm involved in both of them. My name will be on the article.
They do the readers list and your list.
Yeah, they do the readers list in the spring, which I actually just got the winners. I'm working on writing up I write little blurbs about who the readers voted as their pick for the best barbecue in each state. And that will come out in March, probably. I think it's actually the April print edition, but it'll hit the internet in March. And then I'll get yelled at. But I say, I didn't pick those. I try to make it very clear, though they usually overlap with my list. I do the top 50 list, which isn't every year. Last one we did was in 2023.
Who does the list of the top barbecue store in every state?
I haven't done that yet, but maybe I need to pitch that to the.
There's one back there on their website.
Oh, is there? Okay, I don't know who does that one.
Because Rendezvous in Memphis was the Tennessee pick.
The best. Oh, you said store. Your best barbecue restaurant in every state.
Yeah, the single best barbecue restaurant in the state.
Okay, yeah, that would be the South's Best, which is the readers poll. So they do a poll, and it's not just barbecue. They do South's Best cities, South Best, clothing store, South's Best everything, South Best ghost tour. But South Best barbecue is one of the big ones that everybody's interested in. And so yeah, we'll run the best in each state. So I'll do a little roundup of whichever ones the readers picked. And there's a big survey that they do online. And something like 60,000 people respond to it. So it's really a big survey. And then we'll have whatever the readers pick for the best overall in the South this year. So, but those are readers' picks. I write up the response. I try to, describe the place, explain why I think the readers like them so much. But I can't be responsible for all the
people.
picks.
People love lists.
They certainly do. Yeah,
they love lists. What do you think it means to a restaurant? Is it? Let me ask you this: is it bigger to be on diners, drive-ins, and dives, or to get a Michelin star? What do you think increases business more?
If I was running a restaurant, I think I'd pick diners, drive-ins, and the dives. Even today, as much as media is fragmented, as much as people are watching all kinds of things online and streaming and everything else, nothing quite compares to the millions of viewers who may see something that shows up on television, even like former cable channels, which are now streaming channels. Those really just drive so much more eyeballs than anything anybody's going to say about Michelin. I mean, there's going to be a small number of people, I bet, who get the Michelin Guide book and actually go drive around, trying to find those places. There'll be people who will see the local newspaper write about whoever makes the guide, but if you're in Triple D, that drives lines out the door right away. So I think
we traveled to Colorado, and I can tell you on our bucket list was to hit two places that Guy had been to, and they had the big signs, hey, right there in their window. And they were actually two fantastic places that we ate while we were there. That what drove us we were going there anyway, but what drove us to eat was after seeing that on TV.
Yeah. And I'll give Guy Fieri credit. I mean, the places he picks, the ones I've been to are really good. I mean, they're really, what I like about him is he tends to pick places that are very unique and distinctive. They're sort of original. There's some element to it. It's not just yet another Texas style barbecue joint. He's picking some really cool places.
I read an interview somewhere. They said that they tell the restaurant owner when it's a new season what the date of the airing of the show is going to be, and they tell them to have like triple the staff the next day. They said
that's probably right. It will drive a line, and it will drive a line.
There's a whole group of people out there that follow that guy around and believe every word he says, and they're just it's like those people that go to every ballpark.
Yep.
Just they just want to be part of it. Pete, you're a man about town. What if you had to pick one in Chattanooga? I don't ever get out of Ooltewah, Robert. I mean, when I go to Couches, it's like going on vacation for me, and I love to go to Couches. Pete, what do you think in Chattanooga
as far as the place to eat?
Michelin star.
So again, listening to Robert talk about how they kind of look at it, I'm not sure this meets that, but it is a very high-end restaurant. But it's Bridgman's Grill, because it used
to. Is that the one in the Reed House?
It is the one in the Reed House. White tablecloth. Now St. John's same way, but two different styles of food, two different chefs. But every time I've ever been there, the food has been unbelievable. I mean, it's a go-to, me and my wife on our anniversary or something, but the food is fantastic and it's always, always the same. And when people come to town and they want to go somewhere, that's where I take them.
Yeah, I'll be
So Pete-
curious to
Pete-
see. This is one of the things I'm curious to see when it comes to the southern places. One thing the Michelin guides do, if you look at the Texas one, the Atlanta one, the Florida one, is the stars are sort of tend to be going to the similar kind of places, except for all the barbecue in Texas. But once you get down to the Bib Gourmand, then you get to you end up going around to a lot of other different categories of restaurants, and so you'll
think it
get
said
more
the Bib,
neighborhood diners and things like that recognized.
The Bib Award was like entrees $49 and under. I want to say there was a cutoff.
This place that I'm talking about, Robert, is in a hotel, the Reed House Hotel that's been there how long, Steve? Forever, right?
Civil War. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's that old and beautiful with marble and everything in it. Used to be another restaurant in there. It changed to this place, but a lot of tourism, a lot of tourists.
Yeah.
People come to Chattanooga. That's where they go to as well. And I think they've read about it somewhere.
Yeah, one of the things I'm going to be really interested because I'm definitely know the Reed House. I don't think I've been to the new restaurant in there, but I've certainly been in that lobby years ago. And of course, it's a classic. New Orleans is going to be interesting because Louisiana is in this American South Guide. I'm really curious to see which direction they're going to go with New Orleans, because in New Orleans, which is unlike most cities, it's got these wonderful old Creole restaurants that are a century old or more. You know, you've got Antoine's, Galatoire's, Commander's Palace. You know, they're still wonderful, high end, very very nice restaurants. Though they really still largely serve the same style of cooking they've been doing for decades. And you got a lot of newer places that are more in that category that I'm talking about, more contemporary American kind of restaurants, or local ingredients with European style and that kind of thing. I'll be curious to see which side of the line they end up on in the stars to begin with, and then the awards themselves. Especially since Michelin's French, it tends to have a lean toward French influenced cuisine. All the classic Creole, that's sort of French inspired as well, but from way back in the early 20th century. So I'll be curious to see who from New Orleans gets stars and who gets on the Bib Gourmand, and would an older place that's in sort of like a classic scene be able to compete with the place that does the 6-course, very chefy tasting menu kind of thing.
Well, I can't wait to see who makes the cut and who gets the award. I think it's a good thing for our city, especially if we were to, if somebody were to garner a star. We leave out Knoxville. Knoxville's got some pretty nice restaurants. Of course, Nashville, Memphis. I'm sure I've never spent hardly any time in Memphis, but I'm sure they've got some upscale dining there. Robert, have you been there?
Again, I've been there. I've eaten at all the barbecue places out there, all the classics joints. Not really. Trying to think if I've ever eaten a fine dining restaurant in Memphis, just because I think the only time I've ever been there, I was trying to go to, to 18 barbecue restaurants while I was in town. But there are definitely some high end places in Memphis as well. I think very much akin to the ones I was talking about in Nashville.
Well, as far as the Michelin star is concerning, is you'll be there Monday, and you'll be there live. Can we get you back on next Tuesday and do a follow up?
I would, but I think I'm already booked.
Okay.
Tuesday night. But I may be able to do a.
Maybe we can do it the next week.
Yeah.
Because I really would like to get your thoughts on. I watched the European presentation YouTube on a couple of nights ago, and it's pretty snooty.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how snooty they do it in Greenville. I'll point out Greenville is why
do you think they picked Greenville, South Carolina? I mean,
Greenville is the North American headquarters of Michelin.
It's what?
The headquarters
North
of
American
Michelin.
headquarters of Michelin, and it was there when I was growing up. It was there, not too far from the neighborhood where I grew up. In fact, right across the street, and just down the street, I had two friends who were both French. Both their dads were employed at Michelin, at the big national North
I'm a
American
Michelin
headquarters.
dealer, and I knew that I
Yep.
knew that that's where they were, but I didn't see. I have a hard time. I don't have a hard time separating the Michelin star from the tires. I guess that should put me in the running. I'm the only restaurant with a tire.
Can serve a tire that serves tires.
Well, that
Brisket
actually,
Smith,
yeah,
we get a set of tires put on.
there has
Who else would
long
say
been an
that?
association. I mean, it's not only Michelin, but most of the early restaurant guides and influential hotel guides are somehow associated with travel. There's Mobile has a big one. AAA has a big. I think
Mhm.
AAA does the
Diamonds.
diamonds, and Mobile
Yeah.
does stars, and then Michelin has theirs. And Michelin's was from the beginning meant to sell tires. They wanted to
It
encourage
was.
people to get out on the road, burn some rubber, and go eat it.
And if you're
Restaurants
wondering
all
what
over
the bib,
France.
if you're wondering we keep talking about the Bib Award, that's what the name of the guy, that the little tire guy in Michelin is. That his name is Bib.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was
Yeah.
wondering. I just assumed it was bib around your neck because you're
No, it's
Gorman-
Bib.
Gorman.
The little white little tire guy's
the
name.
tire
is Bib.
man. I just know him as the Michelin tire guy. But
Jeff says, Robert, you need to try the Raven in
the Raven. I'm writing all
Maryland.
these down, by the way. So this is how I get.
The Raven.
That's in Maryville, Tennessee.
Well, there's that what's that real gosh, there's a place up there in Maryville. Robert, you probably know what it is. It's a real fancy, expensive place. I can't think of it. If
Yeah,
anybody
nothing's ringing a bell in Maryville.
in Maryville and Blount County, it's up there somewhere. There's some famous chef that started it. It's Blackberry Farm.
Oh, Blackberry Farm. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize that was in Maryville. I know it's up in
I
that,
think it's close to
that,
Maryville.
that northeastern corner. Yeah. Blackberry Farm.
Yeah, that I saw somewhere, I read that they were a potential.
I would think so. The restaurant there is certainly acclaimed, and I think it would certainly be star material from what I know of it. I've never actually eaten there, but I've eaten meals cooked by the chefs. They would come to Charleston for the Wine and Food Festival and other things, and had some really good meals made by
Hey,
them.
let's I want to cover a couple different things with you. We'll let the top 50 list stand for a while. We can talk about that another time. I printed out the top 20. You're just so everybody knows, according to Dr. Robert Moss, the number one barbecue restaurant in the South is it City Barbecue in
City Limits Barbecue in
City
West
Limits
Columbia, South
Barbecue.
Carolina. Yep, right over the
in-
river from downtown Columbia.
And where is it in South Carolina?
In West Columbia, South
West
Carolina.
Columbia, South Carolina. And number 2 on it was Snow's Barbecue.
Snow's was number 1 last time, and City Limits is brand new. It's about 2 years old now, and it displaced Snow's this time around.
I didn't see Interstellar in the top 20.
Interstellar. I went to Interstellar actually. I like it a lot. It is what I call on the bubble. There's that sort of bubble down at the bottom where there's all these restaurants. It could very well have been on the list depending on when
Did you not have it in the top 50?
It did not quite make the top 50. It got squeezed out by a few other similar Austin restaurants and restaurants in Houston that are very similar in nature. Though I do really like Interstellar. It's hard. There's so many good Texas
It's your
barbecue
list, buddy.
restaurants in
It's
this
your
part.
Yeah.
list. It's your list.
You ever been to David Bosca's over in, what is it, Steve, in Oklahoma?
Chandler, Oklahoma.
No, I've not. Oklahoma is one place I have not, other than just passing through Tulsa. I've not really done a trip out there. I finally did Arkansas a couple of years ago for Southern Living, but I've got to get to Oklahoma. That's a sort of a blank spot on my map, if you will.
What state has more barbecue restaurants per capita than any other state?
I would think Texas myself, but maybe not.
Oklahoma.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought Texas.
Oklahoma. Per
The only
capita.
problem is Texas is so big. There's so many,
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
people there, so that maybe tamps it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Funny. in Robert's newsletter this week, it was he ranked a restaurant in Kansas City in his top 50, and of course he was inundated with emails and calls, and I'm sure texts and billboards.
Yeah, and actually
It's
not
the-
this time around for the list. That was the newspaper piece was fact. I kicked Kansas City out of the South for
Oh, you
this
kicked
list.
him out because
Yeah, for
the
this
whole
time
article, though,
around.
was
in
should Kansas
2023
City
and
be in the
previous
South?
lists, Kansas City
Yeah.
was in there, and I got a lot of grief for that. They're like, Kansas City is not a Southern city, and I explained in the article why I used to include them and why I decided to exclude them now. It's not just because I got a lot of grief about it. It's more has to do with barbecue evolution in general. But I do love Kansas City.
Well, as a fellow barbecue Central show Hall of Famer, did you kick Maryland out?
I did not. Riverdale, Maryland, which is a suburb of DC. I mean, it's literally just a couple miles across the river from DC. 250 Barbecue there made the list, and it's just a wonderful barbecue place. So Maryland still made the cut. I can argue for it a lot better than I can for Kansas City. So Maryland's still in there.
All right, let's this was I picked this up off your website when I was browsing it the other day. And like I said, folks, Robert's website is just filled with interesting stories. When Robert writes a story about, especially historical, he covers it. I mean, he covers it like Vin Scully covered a baseball game. The true story of hush puppies, a genuine Carolina treat. Now, Pete, I know you like hush puppies. We were discussing hush puppy recipes earlier today. I adore them. I've never made them, but I'm going to. But I mean, I could eat my weight in hush puppies. Let's talk about the history, Robert, of hush puppies and how they, more importantly, how they got their name, hush puppies.
Yeah, and I think you're really talking about Red Horse bread, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you're from these, I'm launching a campaign or continuing a campaign to try to get people to start calling hush puppies Red Horse bread, at least here in South Carolina, because that was actually the original name for what we call a hush puppy now, and it actually originated not far from where I am, here in South Carolina.
Red Horse bread.
Red Horse bread. And it had nothing to do with a horse that was red. Red horse is actually a type of fish here in South Carolina that's sort of like a brim or something like that is in South Carolina freshwater rivers and was really popular at fish fries back in the around the turn of the 20th century. And that's actually, as best I could tell, the first time something that we would recognize as a hush puppy emerged. That's what it was actually called, and it was in the middle part, the Midlands of South Carolina, as we call it. You'll see a lot of stories if you just Google on the internet, where the hush puppies get their name from. It's usually the clear sign of somebody just taking the name and then sort of working backwards to say, okay, well, hush puppy, how might that have happened? And they come up with some story about needing to keep some dogs quiet. And so Civil War is popular. There you'll see that there are a bunch of Confederate soldiers sitting around the fire cooking fish for dinner, and there are Yankee troops nearby, and their dogs start barking, so they quickly fry up some cornmeal, some cornbread batter, and throw it to the dogs to hush the puppies. And that's how they got their name. And you'll see a lot of other similar stories. Sometimes it's at a plantation in the South, or sometimes it's all the way down in New Orleans. And but there's absolutely no indication that in the historical record that's even correct. The word hush puppy was not around in the Civil War. In fact, like I say, the first time I found it in print was in around 1903 is the first time I found it in print. Not hush puppy. The first time I found Red Horse bread in print, which was a fish fry along the Edisto River being cooked by this guy named Romeo Gavon, who was this guy who lived along the river, along the Edisto River, and had a clubhouse there, and he would cook these big fish fries for basically for tips. He was a African-American guy born before the Civil War, born into slavery, but then after emancipation, got his own land out by the river, and he made quite a lot of money hosting fish fries for a lot of political clubs and all kinds of civic organizations there. And around 1903, there's newspaper articles that talk about this great thing called Red Horse bread that they found at Romeo Gavon fish fry. And what he would do is, he would take the big kettles of oil that they was frying the fish in. He would take cornmeal batter and roll it up in a ball and fry it. Now, people have been frying cornmeal for a long time. You got corn dodgers and all those types of things, Johnny cakes. But that back before, really around the turn of the 20th century, frying really meant you'd have a cast iron frying pan over the coals of a fire, and you wouldn't fill it up with a lot of oil and deep fry it. You would just put a little bit of fat in it. It's sort of like making pancakes or something like that. So Johnny cake is sort of fried in the sense of it's cooked in oil, but not submerged in oil. It really was around the turn of the 20th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, that oils and fat and lard became cheap enough that you could afford to fry up a whole pot. And your big Dutch ovens and those kind of kettles that were large enough to hold it were really becoming available as ironware improved. And then you start seeing deep frying emerge, including fish fries. Fish fries really became super popular around that time, all up and down the rivers as a popular entertainment. So you see Red Horse Bread, Romeo Gavon doing it, and you start seeing other mentions of fish fries along the Estill River and then spreading through middle South Carolina. I don't know why, but for some reason, the other side of the Savannah River down in Georgia, suddenly in the 1920s, you start seeing fish fries with a thing called hush puppies. And there are actually articles you can find from around that time of people saying, on this side of the river, we call them hush puppies. Over in South Carolina, they call it Red Horse Bread. It's clearly the same thing. But they talk about it. It's new. It's like it's something new, something they haven't had before. So it's not just fried cornmeal. It's this deep fried orb.
This was 1920s.
1920s was the first time I could find hush puppies. It's really on either side of the Savannah River in South Carolina, Georgia, and then actually starts spreading southward through Georgia down into Florida. There was a lot of fishing camps down in Florida, like when Florida was sort of first taken off as a tourist destination. People would come down from up north, and they would go to these fishing camps and go out fishing, and they would have hush puppies, and they go back home and write about them. And so you could trace hush puppies going all the way down the coast, and it really took off as a staple of sort of these outdoor fish fries. And then when fish camps came around, these sort of early fish restaurants on the coast of the Carolinas, up in the Piedmont, North Carolina, hush puppies sort of entered the restaurant, became sort of a seafood restaurant staple. And they actually crossed over from there into Piedmont, North Carolina, into barbecue joints right after World War II. Is when you first start seeing barbecue joints serving hush puppies. And hush puppies became a staple in around Lexington, North Carolina, up in that area, and eventually have spread really across the country at barbecue restaurants. But it all traces back to fish fries here in South Carolina along the.
And then Daniel Gervin, of course, picked it up, and of course, we all know Daniel Gervin as Captain D's. So he picked it up and made him famous.
I do write about this great company called the Hush Puppy Corporation of America, which was founded in the little tiny town along the North Carolina coast back in like 1948, right after World War II, by a guy who was going to take hush puppies nationwide. And he took basically cornmeal batter and a little bit of, I think, baking soda and seasoning, and put it in a tube, and then sold it all over the country. Got nationwide distribution, was selling hush puppies up in New York and everywhere else. Company didn't last all that long, but ended up getting bought out by one of the cornmeal companies, and the brand disappeared. But I do love the idea of the Hush Puppy Corporation of America.
Was there any correlation you found between hush puppies and hush puppy shoes?
Yes, and the story goes, the story goes,
this is a great story.
That one of the guys who worked for I can't remember, was it the Wolfsheim, the Wolverine Shoe Company, whatever the shoe company is that made Hush Puppy shoes. He was down in Florida at one of these fishing camps, on a vacation, and he came across hush puppies, and he saw, this would be a great name for a shoe because it will hush your barking dogs on your feet or whatever. Went back and created the Hush Puppy loafer that we know today. So if that story is correct, and it seems to be, I haven't found any other contradiction to it, then those shoes were actually named for the hush puppies from that he encountered at a fish fry.
You heard it here first.
That's right. You don't get this.
That's crazy.
You don't get this stuff on the Barbecue Central show. That's for sure.
I mean, I grew up eating hush puppies. My mother was from the South, from Alabama. We ate hush puppies. I'll tell you, to me, from a little kid growing up, there was a place called Catfish Cabin, Catfish Inn, and that's where you got hush puppies. That's the only place we ate hush puppies, other than what my mother made. And they were the best hush puppies that, to this day, I dream about them still. They were fantastic.
I remember the same way. I remember him so fondly because when I grew up in the upstate in there of South Carolina, lots of fish camps around. And that's when I was a little kid, we didn't go out to eat a whole lot. When I was probably 8, 9, at the very impressionable age. But when we did, it was often to a fish camp. We'd eat fried fish, fried shrimp, and hush puppies. And I remember the same way. I remember them very, very, very good. In fact, there's a fish camp near my house called the Old Mill Stream Inn, which is right on one of the rivers. And they had a giant bear they had out front in a like chain link fence. You couldn't do this these days, but it was the big chain link pen out there. And they had like a gumball machine. They would pour the old hush puppies in. And so you could put a dime in there, crank it, get your hush puppies and throw them to the bear. I'm not sure how long the bear made it, but he ate
that,
well while he
like
was
that bear that used to have in Pigeon
around.
Forge. You could go and poke sticks at in that.
Yeah.
Poke sticks.
Oh, it is awful. That poor bear. Robert, I know you traveled. I'm sure you've traveled through Virginia. Have you ever eaten at the Texas Tavern?
I have not. Where is the Texas Tavern?
Lynchburg.
Lynchburg. No, I have not. I've been to Lynchburg not too long ago, but I missed that one.
It's just a childhood thing I did with my dad, and I'm the only one that's ever been. That I know, but it's a very popular place up there. It's kind of iconic.
I want to go back up and through. I did a barbecue tour through Virginia not too long ago, up through the Shenandoah Valley, up all that area. It was just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
There's actually getting to be quite a lot of good barbecue up there. And again, once again, I was just eating barbecue the whole way, so I didn't eat much else up there. So I want to go back with my wife and just take a leisurely, spin through the Shenandoah Valley, go up through all those parts and sample some non-barbecue things, because I passed a lot of places that look really, really great along the way. And I need to have room in my belly to stop for.
Well, listen, promise me that we'll catch up on the Michelin star story. And if it breaks, if something big happens in your newsletter, maybe give us credit, give Pete and I credit for breaking the story in Chattanooga, or especially if Elsie's, what's that called?
Elsie's daughter.
Elsie's daughter. If they win, tell them you heard it first here from Jeff Maxwell on the Owl's Nest Barbecue Catch-Up Show, and we'll get us some more eyeballs on this show.
Yeah, I'll do it for sure. And I do plan to do a write-up of whatever the results are, whatever my reaction is, because I'm not sure what my reaction will be going up there. And I'm really interested in getting to chat with all the chefs and restaurateurs and see what their response is. But I do plan to put that in one of the issues next week of the newsletter, probably the one that will come out Wednesday, Thursday next week.
Well, it's weird. They on the European broadcast, the chefs all wore their chef clothes up there.
Yeah, I bet they will. That tends to be.
And a couple of them looked like they just got off their shift. Dirty.
Some of those chefs, some of the Europeans, they have some very elaborate ribbons and colorful things on their chef whites. It's like they're formal, almost like military garb. But
oh yeah, that guy that what's that school that Anthony Bourdain went to in France?
Like Cordon Bleu.
Yeah, is that it? And they had that.
That's one of them, the big one.
That some famous guy. They showed his picture, and he looks like he had invaded Poland right before he cooked the ferret.
There's definitely a big military air to restaurant kitchens back in the late 19th century when they had these brigades, and it ran very much like a very hierarchical, and the chef was a general that ruled over.
You hear all that, yes chef, yes chef. Yes. When you see the TV shows, yes chef, like he's gonna bust you and put you in the stockade. And
that's the way it used to be. I mean, if you didn't say yes chef, he'd throw a pan at your head. And, you know about it. That's everything rolled downhill in a classical French kitchen.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for being with us. I sure appreciate it. It's good to get back in touch with you.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know. I met Robert. This is probably your 5th or 6th appearance on the show.
Yeah, I think at least. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while, but I used to come on quite a bit.
We had him on several times when before he and I became famous.
Very educational. I'll say that one of the most educational shows tonight that we've had, and I love that. And a lot of people out there will do the same, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. We'll get Robert back on. We'll do a history show one night. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll dive deep into. I've got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of material queued up, so we'll have lots to talk about.
Robert, thank you so much.
Thanks.
We
Thanks.
appreciate
See
you.
you, Robert.
Appreciate it,
What a class act right there, Robert. Dr. Robert F. Moss. Go to robertfmoss.com and subscribe to his newsletter. Pete, you can.
I will do that.
Yeah. It's an excellent source of information and just good leisurely reading about the world of barbecue. And he talked about other stuff too. It's he's just a fascinating fella. And we're so lucky that he is a friend of our show. All right, buddy, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much. We will see you Tuesday. Oh, I want to tell you this real quick, Pete. Next month, then this is how geeky I'm going to get. Okay, next Monday night, the broadcast of the Michelin stars for the Southern region is going to be on Monday night at 7:15. It's going to be a broadcast live on the Michelin Star YouTube channel. You can just go to the YouTube, put in Michelin Star channel, and it'll pop up. I'm going to do a simulcast. Okay, I'm going to watch it, and we're going to watch it live, and we're going to be simulcasting the show here on the Owl's Nest. We're going to do an Owl's Nest barbecue show on Monday night, and if you want to join me watching this show, simply just drop me an email or call me, and I'll send you a link to the show next Monday, and I'll bring you on the air, and we can all watch it. Then we can all talk about it as it's going on. I can't think of a better way to spend a Monday night.
Football just hadn't been great on Monday night.
But football didn't get it. All right, Pete and I, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you at the store. Don't forget, we've got all the brisket rubs. Go to the page. I've got a great recipe on our Owl's Nest Barbecue Facebook page for Hush Puppies. And you can check that out too. Great information from Robert. We'll see you next Monday night for the award ceremony. And of course, back here next Tuesday night for the Owl's Nest Barbecue catch-up show. Until then, cook out loud.